Okay.
Family reunion's like around February 14th to 17th, somewhere in that range. We can find out for sure, but usually Valentine's Day we spend with family. A lot of family.
What's going to turn the market around and get people to put their houses for sale, especially with the threat of the rising interest rates and stuff?
Yeah, it's a good question. I wish I had an answer really, but I mean, that's been, what, 2 years now probably of low inventory, right? It's rough. It's confidence of me knowing I can find the next house for me to put my house on the market now. So it's almost like a domino, a snowball. But I will say, rising interest rates sometimes get people off the fence because they don't want them to go higher. They want to get it done before they're, because it would not be unheard of for us to see a 5% interest rate, right?
No,
Soon,
already.
maybe by the end of the year. It's close, right?
Already.
In my career, so I've been doing this 28 years, that's still lower than the average of the 28 years, way. Right? Just people don't understand it because they're dealing with now. And they're seeing 3 1/4 2 years ago or whatever, right? So it's like a kind of a disappointment. I think affordability is a big thing that Debbie was mentioning. Being able to afford the next house because of the interest rates is a big factor. And that's why you're always going to see the market adjust. No market can just keep going, whatever way it's going, right? It's
Right.
going to bounce.
It's got to.
Yeah. So,
Everything goes up, up and down.
yeah. I think, like, the last recession that we dealt with was banking problems and things like that. So, that, we don't have that, I don't think, now. And we also don't have the unemployment that we had back then. Now, they're telling us now there's enough jobs for everyone who doesn't have a job. It's just we don't want those, I think Americans don't want those jobs available maybe.
Shortage.
Is the inventory just low because people are, like the 7-year, they used to move out and now they're moving out 10 and 12 years and, like when you're saying it's not coming to market and the confidence of buying something new, like,
Yeah,
there's nothing out there for somebody to go to, do they just hesitate to stay in a couple more years?
I think if we
Like
really.
it used to be every 7 years, you'd say
Yeah.
somebody would, but
That's why they
that
did the
7 is gone.
7-year arms and balloons and
Right.
things, because nobody stayed longer.
Right.
It wasn't even a
But
risk.
that
for
7
people.
years is
Yeah.
extending itself now.
I think if we had a number, I don't have the numbers for you to tell you for sure, but I think if we looked at the numbers, it's still about that.
Oh, you do think
Oh,
that? You don't think it has?
Yeah.
Really?
I think what I'm hearing and reading is we're not building enough houses, rentals, apartments, everything, to handle the number of people coming
Coming
into the market.
buying market with it.
Buying, renting, getting
Or
out of
whatever,
parents'
just
houses.
right.
Well, the other shift that happened is builders are now, instead of townhome communities, they're now building single-family home communities that
Sure.
are larger and out of, say, a younger price range to where that entry-level home isn't there.
And the land that they're buying is not affordable anymore to do the high-density townhouses and condos, right? So now they gotta sell each house for $1 million or whatever, in our area, and so I agree.
I just read an article where they said that like the first home buyers are going into their dream home right away instead of buying that first home first.
They
So
want
therefore,
to,
yeah.
they want to. I don't
Right.
know if it's happening
Right.
maybe as much as,
Right,
but, yeah.
but that's the
And
thought.
I really do think that we have a problem with school debt. I mean, it's a serious, major problem.
Excuse me,
I wish we had a loan officer in here I could talk to.
school debt?
School loans,
Yeah.
Okay.
college,
Oh,
college.
I understand.
Counting as debt and
As debt
therefore not
against
being able to
somebody, right,
afford,
right.
and then they rent
Absolutely.
forever,
I can see that.
I've only read about this, that a lot of people, some people have already started to default on the loan.
Oh, yeah.
loans. And a lot
Billions.
of people, thing is that a lot of people studied something that had no real use in the outside world.
Yeah.
It might have had before the crisis, but a lot of people pretty much get settled in for a very large debt for something they cannot pay them back.
Yeah. Right. You think about doctors, I know young doctors, they're having a hard time paying their loans off, ever. They're just it's in their mind, they're gonna have them until they die. There's so much that they had to borrow.
most of the universities, most of the money doesn't go to the education part, it goes to building more buildings around, or, I don't know, the bureaucracy.
Yeah, well, hey,
I got a feeling one of these days they're gonna Uberize education, just like they did with taxis.
well, there's a lot of online schools
Yeah.
now, and they're doing well, so, you know, they're trying to cut costs with, the physical part of the college, you know, look, I'm a parent of college-age kids. I don't value college as much as I did when I went. You know? I mean, I'm all for education, so don't get me wrong there. I'm agreeing with him that maybe technical college for certain kids is way better. Come out of college with a skill and get a job, right? So we all have friends or someone we know who, kids in their 20s can't find jobs and they're bartending all the time and they're doing, you know, the jobs they didn't go to school for, but they have college educations.
Amazing how many people I talk to say that, you know, oh, I went to college for this. They're totally
But
different.
they're doing something different.
Yeah, oh yeah. Paul Allen started this company.
Mhm.
He was a history major.
No.
And he's making it.
Huh?
And he's making history.
Yeah, he's made history himself, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, in a good way. Any other subjects for me to think about, to bring to you guys, as I think about Wealth Building Wednesday, wealth building, think about making money, changing people's lives, right? It's not all about the money, right? At the end of the day, it's actually not about the money for us. It's about doing a good job, the money follows, right? That's what we teach here.
Kind of piggybacks off of team building, but just different ways to build passive income as far as downline investments. I know we did one on just real estate investing in general.
Yep.
And then one on kind of, you know, marketplace investment.
Yep.
But just what else is out there? You know, because real estate, you sell a house and until they're ready to sell again or buy again, that one's gone.
Right.
Unless you have that referral or something else to keep bringing that in.
Okay. I think talking about real estate investments, talking about other types of investments is not a bad idea, right? I don't know if we should ever really get off of that, right? We all know real estate investing is wealth building, right? I just talked to a friend of mine. She bought a duplex. She lives on the first floor. She rents the second floor, and she's cash flow positive $1,000 a month.
Seeing a lot of that actually.
Smart, right?
Yeah.
Anything else? John?
Yeah, one of the biggest billionaires out there, who now owns a real estate company,
Yeah.
okay, as part of his portfolio. He said if he had only one thing to do, he would buy homes and rent them out.
Yeah.
That was
And this
the
is a
big
person who bought his home 50 years ago and still lives there, never moved, and he's a billionaire.
Warren Buffett, right?
Warren Buffett, yeah.
thing. So I'm talking about.
Still lives in the same old, not pretty house. You would think he'd live in some, you know, mansion
It works for
on
him.
water,
It works for him.
Dresses and
on a cliff.
Yeah, it works for him.
Yeah, buy a boat.
A big yacht.
Big one, 110 million.
Yeah, but this is also somebody who believes in real estate investing big time. That's somebody who analyzes every financial market.
What about one on how to set up your business as far as S Corp, LLCs? that
Get an accountant in here maybe?
Tax implications, yeah. Because I know, I mean, myself, I'm saving probably 15% a year off of running everything through an
Right.
LLC and an S Corp.
Right.
And I think tapping into that is kind of like budgeting and maybe like finances.
Okay,
Especially
So-
for shift.
real estate associate finances, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Keller Williams has a good class called Agent Financials. I'm gonna try to get it here. That's great. I took it one time, they've only taught it for maybe 2 years now. Matt Feddick came to the region, actually to Sheridan. I took a bunch of people over there, and a whole time they were like, this is awesome. Why don't we teach this? Like, what's going on? Like, what are we doing? We shouldn't even talk about anything else until we learn how to bring money in, you know, pay your bills, invest it, and make profit, right? Those things. That's what we talk about all the time here. Why aren't we really talking about this more, right? I think agent financials could be a monthly thing we could do. Wealth Building Wednesday, do it every Wednesday, every month. So thank you, that's a great suggestion. I get hot for these subjects because I want to bring them to you, you know? And I like learning this stuff. If I don't know it already, I'm learning it to bring it to you. So it ups my game too, right? So I can help you individually as a group and everything. All right, I think we have a good start for the second half of the year. So I saw this quote by somebody who's quotable, by Aristotle, right? We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. What does excellence mean to you? Doing something with excellence.
Doing something right.
Doing it right. My dad would say, doing it right the first time, so you don't create more work, having to redo it.
Having success from doing it.
Success from doing what you're doing, okay.
Exceeding your expectations.
Exceeding your expectations, okay.
Above average.
Definitely above average, right?
Yeah.
Average is average, and
Yeah.
excellence has got to be above that,
Complete.
Doing
Excellence has to be complete.
okay?
I would say doing something wholeheartedly,
Okay, I like that, yep,
you know, halfway or just going through the motions.
right. I think when I think of excellence, I think of doing something the best it can be done in the most efficient time, right? And making the effect that you want, getting the results that you want, right? So excellence for us has to do a lot with service to our clients, right? There's people who give poor service, we would say, right? We've had co-ops with people. We just know their style of doing business is really poor. How do you get excellence in real estate though? How do you really operate so it's that?
Processes.
Systems, processes, right? I call it idiot proof. I said to my assistant Kathleen, she's not here because she has allergies and she's all stopped up and she has a lot to do. So I said, just stay there and work. It's okay. Get stuff done for me. No, for us. I mean us. So, but I say to her all the time, can you idiot proof this for me? She knows what that means. Like, get it so that I don't have to think about this again. Like, the next time this comes up, it's, you know, it's a system, it's a process, it's, right? Are you systematic in what you're doing? Or are you flying by the seat of your pants, come into the office and just deal with whatever fires heat up? If there's a couple, you know there's always a couple going, and then this one gets really hot and you go, forget that one for a second, I gotta deal with this, right? Is that what you do every day? This was me for 20 years of my career.
So you know me.
Yeah. We grew up in the same kind of environment here, right? No one taught us systems and models, processes. They said, good luck, Tyre, go get them, right? Bottom line. And if they did help us a little bit in the beginning, which I never got really any help as far as that's concerned, they left me alone. I didn't see them. I was like, hello, anybody? Where's leadership now? You know? One of the things I would say this, one of the things I was disappointed about when Sky came last month, he asked the group, how many of you have read the MREA book? Do you remember how many people raised their hand? About? I thought it was less than 50%. And these are KW agents that are preached the MREA book pretty much, right? I'm a big believer that you don't have to read that thing cover to cover, but you should study the parts that you need. It's sectioned off. It's a textbook. It's not a storybook, right? And it helps you. Let's say it's lead generation you're struggling with. You just study that. Just read that over and over again. We have a rock star up in Newtown, Justin Gall, who is blowing me away with what he's doing and creating and producing and all that stuff. And he uses a Peloton. Do you know what a Peloton is? All right, so it's a bike, and you have a screen, and you literally can take live classes in your house on this, right? Really, really cool. So he does it for exercise. He's having a hard time with his knees and hips when he runs, getting some pain, so the bike's better for him. I think it's great. He's constantly looking for ways to improve, right? So he gets on the Peloton, and guess what he does? He puts headphones on, and he listens to the MREA book Audible. He's probably listened to it 10 or 20 times now. And he's like, John, I get something out of it every time. I hear something different. I hear a new idea. I hear something, right? And he's implementing things off of it. MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. All right, so I think we should have a goal to not repeatedly do poorly. Not repeatedly have the same old day. And if one of my friends was here, he's in a closing right now. Hopefully he'll come a little later, I don't know. Bob Meisner. Bob Meisner's constantly talking about not having regrets, right? He does not want to go to his grave with regrets. And that's because for a while he had just repeatedly doing the same old, and not growing, not learning, not building, right? And he was really disappointed with that inside. He asked me the other day a question about he's due to get an administrative assistant. And he's a little bit of a control freak. I can say it because he's not here, but I would say it if he was here, I promise you. So it's hard for him to give up something, you know, work, whatever. He thinks he does everything with excellence, and I'm sure he does. But he's now coming to the conclusion that in order to scale his business any farther than he's at, he's hit a ceiling by himself. And he's got to make a hire to go further. And it's literally not about the money for him. It's about growth. It's about just not regretting not doing it. So he asked me, because he knows I was like that, how long ago, 8 years ago, maybe, or something like that. I was like that too. And he said, why aren't I pulling the trigger and doing this? I'm disappointed in myself, kind of thing. And I said, Bob, the pain of not having an assistant isn't strong enough yet. You must enjoy doing that. Because guess what he told me? The percentage of admin work and mega agent work he was doing. It was 50-50. 50% of his time was spent just on admin work that he could pay somebody a much less hourly fee than he makes to do. Does that make sense? Do you understand the comment I made about the pain has to be strong enough for you to make a change? Are we okay with just living with blah? With the same day? Are there changes you know you need to make in your, and let's forget about business for a second. You can include business, but just in life. Should you get up quicker? Should you, or earlier, or whatever? Should you eat like me, differently, right? And help more healthy, or whatever. What is it in your life that needs a change? Anybody willing to share? Time blocking, right? Whatever, family time. Any of this resonate?
I think that the diet is a big one, especially in our industry. We're running around
Exactly.
in our cars, McDonald's is everywhere. Yeah, so
It's just quick.
Big one.
It's too expensive.
McDonald's? The dollar menu.
I get, Even with a dollar, maybe we can make something better at home.
For sure.
Get time clock. You got time clock that. Yeah, you gotta-
So
you gotta time clock that.
Jessica was willing to talk, so now you guys have to talk. What in your life?
I have to get my day started sooner.
Day started sooner?
Yeah, I think I just like,
Write that
I have
down.
everything down that I want to do, but it takes me so long to get it started. And then I'm up at midnight on a computer, you know, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, and then I feel like I've been working all day because I'm still doing it at midnight. I'm saying, this is crazy, I'm doing 24/7. But I'm really not.
Yep.
It's a matter of like, you need to cut yourself off.
Prioritize.
Yeah, prioritize my time. It's like, I find myself sitting and looking for houses for people at 11 o'clock at night, you know. I'm thinking I should be doing that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
One of the things we talked about in Wealth Building Wednesday one time was the One Thing book. That would help Joanne. The
What
One
was it?
Thing. The One Thing book.
One thing, but I think I wrote that down actually, but I'll have to get it.
It's about prioritizing your day, your life, everything, and doing the one thing first that should be done. And get that out of the way. Not that all of us don't have a next one thing, because we do, usually. But there is always one if you funnel it down correctly. John, you say something?
Yeah, I just had a terrible time in time blocking.
Time blocking?
I need systems, and I really have to learn those. My problem is, and that I have to listen more, and, you know, I've been told that from people who know me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to figure out how the heck to do it, because I think I'm doing everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You just reminded me of something.
Yeah.
I told myself, I need to figure out what is it, the things I need to get done, like do a checklist. And John was so kind yesterday to give me this pink thing, put it back here. I started putting stickers back here, like, and I just remembered right now.
Hoping it
wait a
sticks
minute,
long
I
enough,
gotta-
yeah.
Did I do the things I was supposed to do today? Wait, let me start
Right.
checking them off. But I'm trying to figure out a system, so.
Yeah.
that was good.
One Thing book. Please.
Okay, One thing book.
It'll change your life, change your thinking.
The one thing, book, that's probably what I need to stay focused. I need to stay focused on, keep my eye on the prize, which is,
Okay, I gotta mix
in
this
my
up.
mid-forties now,
Follow-up system.
in my
You like that
mid-sixties,
one?
I'll have 20 years real estate under my belt.
I found myself
It's a long time.
Yeah. And,
It's not too late.
no, it's not too late. It's never too late. And, you know, I just need to keep myself focused and constantly improving my business every day. And I'll get there. And
So-
not go off, I'm sorry.
So do we understand how to focus though? Because we're all saying that, right? We need to focus more. I think we're all probably high I personalities in our personality profile at some point. And we're influential and we're people, and we like people, and we end up getting involved in something longer than we should, right? Maybe it's conversations, whatever, so that it takes you away from what you're really supposed to be doing. Not that the conversation's not a good thing to have, but it maybe doesn't need to be an hour, it could have been 15 minutes and accomplish the same thing.
You
Mike?
see that in the office, just.
You can see that in the middle.
Yeah, like
on the
sometimes
floor
I,
desk.
yeah, sometimes I just wanna go home and.
I avoid
work
that
from
area.
home. I
Yeah.
know, I wanna go home and work from
That's
home.
a
because-
black hole of unproduction.
Well, I see that.
And I'm not saying anything about anybody
No, I'm not
personally.
either, I'm not either, but I sometimes wanna just head home because
You get something
I
done.
get wrapped up in that and
Mike?
need to get out.
Yeah.
I found that for me, it started with changing my morning routine and just slowly adding different pieces to where it was, whether it was the, you know, drinking water and then making the bed and feel like,
Right.
you know,
Getting
started
some
by
wins.
things like getting something, a small win, an accomplishment, this, that, you know, watching a few videos, whether it be Gary or, you know, somebody
Something
else.
inspirational.
And then, you know, my day, I'll look up and I'm like, man, I got done everything I wanted to get done today. It's like 11 o'clock or something. Like,
Love
it
that.
just starts, you know, it's not that hectic, you know, I gotta beat the kids up because if I don't, I'm not getting anything done. But
Right. And coming from somebody with little kids, it's it's hard. I remember those days. Now my kids are older, so my kids aren't a factor of my crazy schedule and thing, right? Because they're all self-sufficient. My youngest is 17, and she doesn't need us, right? She's got her own car, she pays her own expenses, she works, goes to school, gets great grades. I look at her homework, I can't help her with it, it's Chinese, you know. She does like chemistry and anatomy and her math for sure. And I love math, way over my head.
I think for me, I need a system. I need, I wake up in the morning and I make my bed and listen to motivational stuff. I feed my brain, but I need to sit down and have a system to work with, and I need to be more aggressive.
Hmm. I like that word.
I need a system and I need to be more aggressive.
I'd love to know how you figure that out. Because you can.
The aggressive part?
Well, scheduling, getting your day right, and being aggressive at the same time. Because I'm that way naturally. I'm a killer, right? I'm competitive. I want to win all the time. So I love that somebody else feels that way, because sometimes I feel like I'm weird, that maybe I should back off of my, expectations and wanting,
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I'm a huge, I'm a dreamer. I have
Good.
huge goals,
yeah.
but I need a system to get there. And I just feel like I'm
The-
all over the place.
The one thing tells you to dream big, right? Think big. But it also tells you to think small. So you can't accomplish the big thing without all the small things you're gonna do, right? Particularly when you're building a foundation, right? You don't wanna build something on sand, right? It gets washed away. But if you have it on solid rock or solid concrete, your foundations are strong, Dream big. I want you to, and I'm so excited to hear how you're doing it. But do the small things to get there and focus in on what needs to really be done. Well, I'm hearing system from a lot of you guys. System is really, how do I stay focused? Schedule, time blocking. Having big goals, but realistic ways to get there. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, you go to Business Planning Clinic, anybody been there with Gene Rivers? Just a few of us. It's coming again in October. Please go. If you want systems and models, he's going to give you a one-day boom on you. Like, here it is. And he's the best teacher probably Keller Williams has. And he comes to Bucks County every year because he loves us, right? Because we implement the stuff and we show up. He goes to other regions, he tells me they have half the place, full. We fill it up. Because I've gone to Gene Rivers since we were open, so like 13 years in a row. At one point you gotta say, I think I could teach this, so I do, but I think I could teach this. Why do you keep going, John? Right? People say, because I learned something every time, because guess what? They modify, they fix things, right, Larry? The last 3 years, it's changed a lot. It used to be a 2-day course, now it's a 1-day course, which I like better. So I'm not taken out of the office for 2 straight days. But it's also honed in and they're perfecting this training all the time. How many of you are going to Agent Masterminds next week? 1, 2, 3. There's going to be $600 million in volume on stage. Do you think you might learn something from one of them?
Where is that?
We can go to that.
Absolutely, it's the whole region. Everyone's invited. There's flyers on the wall all over the place.
Oh, I thought it was just people that.
And your emails have gone out. Yeah, this isn't just for leadership. This is for everyone.
I saw that as just leadership event.
No,
I think we
please.
associate masterminds with that
Yeah,
and don't.
we do. We associate mastermind with, just junior mastermind, you
That's
have
what
to
she
be
just said.
invited.
Yeah, I thought that was last
You
time.
know, here you have to be invited, so you think of mastermind as, you're not there.
Yeah, so this is not invite only. This is, everyone's invited, but it's going to, they're really close to selling the thing out. So if you want to go, get on. Becca and Debbie can help you get online, get your ticket quick. It includes lunch. Huh?
That's right, Greater PA Region.
Yeah, Greater PA Region on Facebook. You can find it right there.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I've
join
seen it.
that because there's some cool stuff on there, by the way.
I've seen it, but honestly, I didn't think we.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'm helping you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you can go. When you're budgeting, put money aside in your budgets for education like this. It's gonna cost you something to go to these big regional things. but they're in our region. You don't have to go to New Orleans to get it, right? By the way, one of our favorites now, Sky Michaels, is going to be very heavily involved in that day. So I know when he's involved, it's going to be quality, right? So
John, do you know what day it's on?
I want to say it's Wednesday next week. It's a full day, but you'll be glad you went, I promise. And you're going to be around people who are amazing. Not just amazing realtors, amazing people. Very sharing and giving and loving and want your success. And you're like, I don't get this. I didn't get that at RE/MAX, did it, John?
Because it's closed.
It's closed.
Here,
It's their culture.
It's totally open.
Yep,
You know, and if you're not taking it, shame on us.
right. That's what I'm saying.
It's being handed to us.
Yeah, please.
And I am my own worst enemy.
Yeah, we all are. And John's hitting the nail on the head. We're all our worst enemy, right? It's all up here where we're limited.
Mindset.
Mindset.
That could be a topic.
That's always my topic, so, but yeah. I actually do Wealth Building Wednesday. I'm telling you my secret now.
It wouldn't be on that calendar. No, 'cause it's, like, outside of the.
To change your mindset on something. That is really why I do Wealth Building Wednesday. So when you're thinking, I don't know what John's teaching, so I don't know if I'm gonna go. Come, because I'm gonna adjust your mindset. It's probably better that you don't know what I'm gonna do, right? Because then you're not judging, oh, do I need that or not? Right? Did I need to hear from Sky Michaels? He's from Center City. He probably has a whole different market than I have. Did you relate to what he was saying? Right? He's one of us. Yeah.
Can I just say, so I come to all these classes.
Yep.
And for me, it is the mindset thing that I'm trying to break through. I actually feel like a little anxious when I'm in here, and I feel like a little scared. And that's why I come, because it's like, I know I have like that wall that I'm trying to break through, read all the books. I do it all. I do it all, and I'm not succeeding as I want to. But I keep coming here because I know that I'm gonna break through that wall eventually. But it is a process. Like, changing the way that you are is a process. Like, when I read the one thing, I said, oh, that's my husband and my daughter. They're excellent at their discipline. They're excellent at doing all the little things. Like, they've got it. For some reason, I
It's
didn't.
natural.
It's natural
Yeah.
for them. For me, it's harder. And it's a process, and I'm doing it little things, little by little by little, but it takes a minute. It takes time. So I keep coming, because I feel like I'm like right there on the edge, waiting to fall over. And it's like scary. It's like a little
So,
bit scary.
I'm gonna
But I
say,
just had to put that
I
out
wanna
there.
celebrate for a second that you just said that. If I'm making any of you uncomfortable, I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we don't need comfort all the time. All that does is allow us to not be excellent.
Can
I
I just
also
say,
see, I'm sorry.
I'm so
Go
sorry.
ahead.
John,
I
go
just
ahead.
wanted,
Daisy, go ahead.
I'm sorry, something
Ladies
really
first.
quickly, yeah, sorry. You said it's hard for you.
It's harder than
It's
it is
harder.
for them. It's just not, like, they're naturally
I
very
think-
systematic in
yeah.
how they do things.
I think,
And they're successful, by the way.
well, I mean, take away that harder, and you're putting that block
I know I am.
in your head, because you said it's harder for you. I think if you take away that, you saying it's harder for you, and replace it with something more, that's motivating, that's gonna change that, make that shift, you know,
Oh, yeah, I can motivate you very easily. I'm very good. But it's me, I'm blocked.
yeah, I just hearing that word
I'm working
harder.
on it.
Yeah,
I know.
you're
That's
working
good.
on it, and
That's good.
And that's
Being
right.
able to say it out loud is big key,
Right.
because hopefully we can say, hey, remember when you said that? How you doing with that? John, were you gonna say something?
Backing up on your excellence,
Yes.
and I said it's complete. It's not. It's always evolving,
Yes,
okay? Because the world will change on you.
totally. Especially today with technology, right? If it wasn't for Dot Loop, I'd be shooting myself right now. If we had to meet people face to face and get things signed like we used to, it would drive me insane. It was the best program world ever came up with in real estate. So I'm just being honest with you.
Why doesn't everybody use it?
They didn't have it.
Well, no, but now, why don't they use it? Because there's a lot of people, even in Keller Williams, not here and not in Newtown because we don't allow it, but there's Doylestown, to give you an example. I hear stories, there's old school people who say, I don't like .loop and I'm not using it. And they just make their assistant scan stuff in when they're done, right? That's okay. I have no problem if that's the way you want to do it. I will never ever do it like that again. It's the best program. It's on an app. I have everything at my fingertips. Somebody just asked me about property I'm helping them with, about the deposit monies. I have no idea. It was 2 months ago now. It's coming up, closing next month, and I don't do contract to close anymore. I hate to say it. That sounds snooty or something, but I don't do that. That's Kathleen's job. So what I could do is I knew Kathleen wasn't in yet, and I was going to bother her at home at 7:30 in the morning when somebody was asking me about this. I pulled up my .loop app and I saw right there the deposit monies are not, we're not holding it, don't mess with me. And, you know, and I could get back to them and say, go talk to the other person, it's not us, right? Just something simple as that. Got it off my plate.
Yeah, I had to look at the contract for a second. I went into the
Right.
app. Boom, there's my loops. Bang, there's a contract.
Documents?
It was 30 seconds.
Yep.
After I picked up my phone, I had that contract open in front of me.
You know what we did before you were here in the business? Before .loop was around, the internet, back in the 90s? Ancient times?
Typewriters.
I used to drive to the office to look in the file.
Yeah. You had to drop the agreements to the other office. Didn't matter where it was.
Hey, I was in the business before lockboxes. We had to drive to offices to get keys, go show the house, bring the key back, and they'd be pissed if you didn't have the key back within a half an hour, you know? I'm like, make more keys, you idiots, you know?
Same thing.
And, oh, so-and-so can't show the house because you have the key. Well, it's in my car, I'm not there yet. What are you gonna do?
John, thanks to that loop, I was, back in January, I had a family emergency, so I'm at the airport, and
Yeah.
my buyer called me, we love the house, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, bad timing, right?
Yeah, of course,
And
yeah.
I said, well, they wait until tomorrow, I'm boarding right now. So, they don't speak any English, and the next day, the first thing I did when I arrived there, I trained them, and they did it over,
Yeah,
and my family were like, what, you are doing what?
It's
They
amazing.
couldn't believe it, Yeah.
it's incredible, I know.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Okay, so somebody said over here about their natural ability to do something, right? It's just natural for my son and my daughter or whatever, my husband and my daughter to do this. Focus and do the little things. So we talk about two things at Keller Williams. Natural and adapted. We need to figure out what our natural things are that we naturally do and what we need to adapt. So it's not right or wrong, because if we took the KPA, which is the Keller Personality Assessment, which by the way you can take here, and you should, because it teaches you about yourself. And you're going to read this and you go, oh my goodness, how'd they know that? Right? At the end of the day, you find out there are places where you have a weakness. We all do. And you know what? I need to adapt my behavior in this one area. You know? She has a natural, even just the way, Daisy, you talk, is aggressiveness, right? She's aggressive. She's going to be just naturally aggressive. It's part of her thing, right? That's going to be a strength in some areas. And then you might find it's a negative if you're too aggressive with somebody, right? And you need to back off. It's just good to know about yourself and read it and know I can adapt.
John, I've taken that, the thing is, you can hold a mirror up to yourself, and you're still only seeing you. That test, okay, was a third party looking back at you and telling you the truth, because you don't see it in the mirror.
No.
And I'll tell you, if anybody has not taken that, please take it for yourself.
One note on those assessments as well, that had the disc, whatever it's telling you, you still shouldn't put yourself in a box that this is all I am and all I can do. Because, for example, my eye on the disc test doesn't exist. I can't speak with people, I don't like people, it tells me that I am like the biggest curmudgeon in the world.
That's not true, Mike.
But I can adapt to
Right.
be that when I need to be that.
It's a snapshot
Exactly.
of today.
So it's a personal example of what I'm talking about. So thank you, Mike, that's good. That's exactly what I'm talking about. He learned he had a weakness, it's just not as natural. When he goes into a party, he's not the man. But he can get involved in discussions because he can force himself, right? But at the end of the day, you're gonna think about it and go, okay, I really don't wanna be here. I'd like to sit in the corner and eat this great food, right? Because I have these thoughts. And for some reason, I get into these things and I am like talking to people and like it's natural and I'm like, oh, I just want to sit down, you know. So I'm probably the opposite of that, but I have to be careful with that too because I could be like John and have a 15-minute conversation turn into an hour and I just wasted 45 minutes. Not that it was bad, it wasn't bad, but could I be more efficient? Could I do better? And really at the end of the day, could I help more people? Help myself, help more people.
For me, I just found that it wasn't my natural behavior, that I found that when I was outgoing and I did try to, you know, like say I'm speaking with people all day, it's exhausting for me because it's not a natural behavior.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like, my wife would be like, all you did was go talk to people all day, what's your, and I'm just like not there.
Don't even talk to me.
Yeah.
Let me sit in my chair for a little while. My kids call it Dad's chair. Let Dad sit in Dad's chair. Sometimes I need a veg for just a little while. Like, don't bother me. Right? Then I'm back. I'm good.
I'd like to, you're talking about subjects, I'd like to know more about networking.
Network.
Like, get yourself out there to get known. You know, without the experience of, you know, having like you know, hundreds and thousands of things behind you to, people know you, you know?
Mhm. But understand, I've spent 28 years building that.
Mhm.
That didn't happen overnight. And I started when I was 22 years old in this business. I was young. They were looking at me like a kid, you know?
Well, I
like-
had the same thing, like I sold for 20 years before, but I kind of lost all that. Like, you know, I don't have those old files, I don't have those things that are constantly being repeated all the time.
Mhm.
It's getting back out there.
Start today. I think one of my first Wealth Building Wednesdays, if you guys remember, Ben, you might have been here, Larry, I think you were here, Deb. I don't know if any of you were here. It was about a little over a year ago actually I started this. One of the first ones I started with, and people still repeat to me, so I know it made an effect on them. It was to just start. Stop worrying about, I'm not good enough. I don't have the biggest network. I don't have the finances figured out. I haven't, you know, sold a house before. All these limiting beliefs that we create, no one else is influencing us that way. No one. It's all in here. And how do you do it? When I was 22, I just started. I just did it. I acted. My father-in-law, Paul Allen, told me, act like you've done it before. Because guess what? All your friends here, myself, we're behind you. Go do it, we'll help you through the thing, you know what I mean? And I had a mentor named Todd Pratt, who was with me and went on appointments with me for a while and stuff like that when I first started. We were buddies, like family friends. And I just said, I just gotta start, I just gotta do it. Just act like I've done this before, right? You do one, now you've done it before. So now that's no longer an excuse, right? There's always gonna be new things you're gonna come up against, but you know, just start. I gotta clean up my finances. All right, let's just talk about it for next year, right? Let's complain. One thing that I won't tolerate, like people I'm with a lot know, I don't tolerate excuses very well. Right? They're excuses. Throw them in the trash. Stop saying it and do it. Right? I need systems. I'll never be good enough in this business until I get systems. Okay? What do you need to do then? I found in my life, so I'm going to give you some words of wisdom here, okay, that you can write down. Usually 3 things. Everything is 3 things, it seems like.
The Trinity?
Don't make it bigger than that. Get 3 things you can focus on or whatever it is. System, I need a system. I need a system on what? Okay, I need a system on lead gen. Here's what Gene Rivers will tell you. Focus on 3 areas. What 3 areas could you focus on? Just throw them out to me for lead generation. Say it.
Open house.
Okay, open house.
Door knock.
Fires.
You know what that means, right? Expired.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Expired.
Would all expire as well?
What did somebody say?
For sale by owner.
Door knock. I believe in door knocking.
Okay. What'd you say?
FISBOs.
FISBOs. Right? Pick 3. I said personal sphere here. If personal sphere is not part of yours, you have no shot at really doing as well as you could in this business. I'm just telling you. That has to be a focused area. That's where, well, I don't have a big enough database. That's what I hear, right? Well, could you start one today? Think of 10 people, go on Facebook or whatever, and find 10 people you can put in your database, right? How about 10 today, 10 tomorrow, 10 the next day? Guess what? You'd have 100 before you knew it. By the MREA book, if you have 180, this is what I've studied, if you have 180 people in your database, I think every one of us in this room could come up with 180 people who would say they know you. You should be successful in this business by just touching your database. You're probably gonna do 24 transactions just from that a year. It's not overnight. You gotta feed it, right? Communicate with those people. How about this? Go try to help them with something. Anything. All of a sudden, they think of you when real estate comes up. Right? Could you help somebody with something? Then it's not even real estate. Some people would love to know what their house is worth. Jess, how many times? Call them and you offer that, they're all for it. But if you ask them if they want to sell their house, they want to hang up on you, right? But if you offer them something of value, they'll talk to you. What if we focused on 3 areas of lead generation? Do you think, then we do the small things, Daisy, right? For those 3 things, we figure that out. Write it down. I find that if I write things down, I think better. Right? And I like to keep writing, right? Cross out, fix.
I'll give you one, Ruth Brusel, who a lot of us know, okay? She was the one that invented that in my mind. Have a picture of it, because if you say, and you know, she had a picture of the boat that she wanted. It's a yacht, okay?
Yeah.
On her wall.
Yeah.
And 2 years later, she and her husband Fred drove it up from Florida.
Yep.
Visualize.
Yep.
Okay, I have to do the same thing. I'm a grabber, okay, and I don't follow through on what I grab. That's one of my problems. So I just have to have, again, that mirror wasn't enough.
Is it fixable?
Pardon?
Is it fixable?
It is.
Ask them to give me 3 things you can revisit next meeting.
By next
Little
month's
homework,
meeting.
little homework, see
Yeah.
if he manages it.
I think right now, a good exercise for us right now would be take a couple minutes and write down 3 focused areas that you're gonna focus on, 3 things. Write them down. And be prepared to tell me about them in front of everybody. So you're not allowed to like
So
act
this
like,
room is empty next time, don't
Yeah.
wonder why.
yeah.
I'll be here though.
Thank you.
Just, it won't be there.
Do you have a question? Okay. Don't make it clear. Yeah, good. Thank you. Anybody willing to share one of your 3? Lilia?
Older expireds.
Oh, I love that. Can you imagine how many older expireds are out there that no one is now contacting them?
I can tell you right now,
Yeah?
I think about, from what I've seen, 1 out of 3 homes in the past 6 months that have expired haven't signed up with anyone.
And they raised their hand, they want to move. We're not looking for,
Jump on it.
hmm?
Telling Anna to jump on it. She's crazy.
It's very bad statistics, I'm still having food. And so far, it looks like it's 1 out of 3.
Mhm.
No, she's that good.
Old expireds, that's awesome. Anybody else?
Open houses.
Open houses, you can focus on that? Think you'd be successful at doing that?
I can focus on that.
How do you be successful in open house?
The door knocking, which was also on my list of 3. Flyers. I think that I have to figure out, everybody's talking about focus, focus, focus. Find a plan to execute when I actually go and do the door knocking. Not like, hi, I'm gonna be here Sunday. But like have a message to send that goes beyond, hi, I'm gonna be here Sunday 1 to 3. Like you were saying,
Bring value?
bring value. I wrote down something, not do you want to sell your house, but how much do you think your house is worth? Like, I need to find something that's clever, that is aggressive, but not, that makes people want to shut the door on me. Like, I need to find what my niche is, to my hook, to get people in that complements me, and that will help me work with others. So I feel like that's what I'm taking away from this meeting, is that everybody wants to find a plan and a strategy and be able to focus. And like, for me, it's tying it all in, getting it on paper, putting it in order, devising the plan, and then executing the plan. And you gotta step outside yourself and be able to muster up some courage to be able to do it, So it's like this whole big part, like this whole process that like, it's a process that we can simplify if we focus, if we write it down, if we stay on top of things, and we find what works for us because we took a disc test or this or that, So as a new agent, there's a lot to internalize and figure out to like how I can be the best person I can be, the best agent that I can be. Because what works for her may not work for me.
Larry, what's the key in open house?
So I think you have to have a system. You have to prepare for the open house. You have to host it, kill it when you're there, ask everybody if they want to buy it. And if that home isn't for them, we have others. And then a system for follow-up. So it's 3 parts to the open house program.
I love that. And he and his wife kill it on open houses. You would just not even believe it. Okay? And I think the key is they're prepared for the open house. That's the one thing. They are going to make clients out of those people. And they're kind and nice and gracious people to them, and they want to help them. But their system for follow-up is second to none. And they are not afraid of picking up the phone and saying, I met you last Sunday, do you remember, at such and such address, I'm calling to see if I can help you.
Even as small as sending a thank you note.
Correct?
So I have a tip.
Yeah.
So a thank you note.
Yep.
I worked with a gentleman years back, and he would have a number of people come into his open house, and he would choose 5 of the